Hello everyone, you are watching Naresh IAS Academy YouTube channel. This is the next part on Rajasthan history for the English medium students. I have already discussed Rajasthan art and culture for the English medium students in the 18th video lectures, and this is my next series, and I am covering the Rajasthan history. Then I will cover Rajasthan geography and the other section. For the Hindi medium students, I have already done the entire work on Rajasthan GK and GS, so you may take help from there, and you may also contact for the offline classes. Today I will discuss the topic from the Rajasthan history, the fort of Rajasthan. Fort of Rajasthan. An important topic for the point of view of exams. First of all, we will understand the term fort. What do you mean? Second, the types of fort. Third is location. Through the map of Rajasthan, we can locate the geographical position of the different forts. Okay, first of all, we will start. The term fort means what? You know, the term fort is used mainly in the English language. It is a English term. But in Hindi, Sanskrit or Urdu, in the Hindi, it is called the Gad. In Hindi, it is called Gad. In Urdu language, it is called the Kila. Kila is a term of Urdu language, and in Sanskrit, it is called Durg. It is called the Durg. Okay. Then the fort, the term which is used in English, Sanskrit, Hindi, and the Urdu language with the different names. Next is, you must know the types of fort, not only in India, throughout the world. Generally, forts are classified according to their construction or characteristics under the 6 or 7 types. These are the some types of the forts. Then we can write, for example, one is the water fort, also called the Jal Durg. The water fort. Second is the hill fort, built on a high hill, the hill fort. Third is the desert fort, or also called the Dhanwan fort, the desert fort. And fourth is the forest fort, built in a dense forest. And fifth, you can write the Parik fort. Parik means which is surrounded from the all side by a deep ditch, just like a Lohargarh fort of the Rajasthan. And the last is the Sthal fort, also called the earthen fort. These are the important types of fort in Rajasthan. Mainly we can identify the different types of fort in Rajasthan. Okay, so this is the simple information about the topic you must know. And now we have to locate the important forts in Rajasthan. Okay, location of the forts. Then first of all, I will start from the northern side. So this is the geographical boundary of the Hanumangarh district, where this is the important fort in the Hanumangarh district, and which is called the fort of Bhatner. The Bhatner fort. Bhatner. It was constructed by Bhupat Bhati, and the fort is famous for its sacrifice, and it is generally considered that both the Hindu and Muslim women sacrifice their life and they perform the Johar practice when the Taimur Lung attacked over India in 1398. That's why it is famous for this incident, because the Johar practice is mainly related to the Rajput or the Hindu women. But it have seen or studied about the fort. And the second fort is, this is the geographical boundary of the Bikaner district. Okay, and this was the fort in Bikaner, and which is called the Junagadh fort. Junagadh fort, also called the Bikaner fort. Junagadh fort. It was built by Rai Singh, the ruler of Bikaner, in the 16th century. You know, in the history of Marwar, we have discussed how the Mughal Emperor Akbar appointed Rai Singh as the commissioner or administrator of Marwar or the Jodhpur state when Chandra Sen refused to accept the dominion of Akbar. The Junagadh and the Bikaner fort mainly have influence of Hindu and Islamic architectural style, because Rai Singh later on worked for a long period under the Muslim rule, and that's why he adopted some architectural styles from the Islamic system, and these styles were applied into the Junagadh fort. Then next, this is the geographical boundary of the Jodhpur district, and where this was the fort Mehrangarh fort. Mehrangarh fort of the Jodhpur. Mehrangarh fort of the Jodhpur, and it was built by Rab Jodha, ruler of Jodhpur or that time the Marwar, about the 15th century. And the Mehrangarh fort is built on a Chidiyatuk hill, on the Chidiyatuk hill, and this is a very important fort and provide evidence of the glorious history of the Rathod rulers, and its shape is just like a peacock. So sometime it is called the peacock shaped fort or the Mayur Dhwaj, More Dhwaj. And the next fort in the boundary of the geographical boundary of the Jaisalmer district, and this was the important fort of the Jaisalmer, which was the Songarh, also called the Sonargarh. Sonargarh and the Songarh was the important fort of Jaisalmer, and it was built by Rawal Jaisal about the 12th century, and it is called Sonargarh or Songarh because it was built by the yellow sandstones, but the sandstone bright during the solar radiation, and it reflects just like a golden fort. That's why it is called the Songarh, means the golden fort. And it is built on a Tirkuta hill. Tirkuta hill is a part of the Aravalli mountains, and sometimes it is called the Tirkuta Garh or the Tirkuta fort too. And this was the geographical boundary of the Jalore district, and where an important fort was built, the Subarngiri fort. Subarngiri fort of the Jalore, and it is famous for the glorious history of Songara Chauhan of the Jalore. When the Alauddin Khilji attacked over the Jalore state, this was the Kannad Dev, ruler of the Songara clans of Jalore, then who fought bravely, was finally lost his life. And most of evidences are found from the Subarngiri fort or the Jalore fort. And the South Rajasthan is famous for its great fortification. Mainly, this was the geographical boundary of the Chittor district, where the important fort was the Chittor fort. Chittorgarh fort, also called the Chittor fort. It is built by the Chitrangad Maurya, and finally the founder of Guhil dynasty, Bappa Rawal, acquired the fort from the last Mauryan ruler, Man Maurya, and finally it was enlarged or glorified by the different rulers of Guhil dynasty or the Sisodia dynasty, and it was built on the Mesa Plateau, over the Mesa Plateau, and it is called the first living fort of the Rajasthan, and the fort is eyewitness of three Saka practice, Johar and Kesariya. The Johar practice, which is performed by the women's, and Kesariya practice performed by the men's, and Johar and Kesariya both combinedly are called the Saka practice, and three Saka took place in the forts. First time when the Alauddin Khilji attacked over the Mewar state, and Mewar, this was the geographical boundary of Mewar that time in 1303, and that time the ruler was the Rana Ratan Singh. So then this was the first evidence of the Saka. Second time when the ruler of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah, attacked over the Mewar state or its capital Chittor. So this was about the 1535, and this was the evidence of second Saka practice. And third time 1567 or 1568, when Mughal Emperor Akbar attacked over the Chittor, and that time this was the Uday Singh, father of Maharana Pratap, and this became the evidence of the third Saka. Okay, and this is the geographical boundary of the Rajsamand district. Rajsamand district, and where this was the important fort, the Kumbhalgarh fort. Okay, the Kumbhalgarh fort built by the Maharana Kumbha, now in Rajsamand district, and it is famous in Rajasthan for its longest boundary wall, and we can say the boundary wall is about 36 kilometer long. That's why it's called the longest fort of the Rajasthan, Kumbhalgarh. Later on, ruler Maharana Kumbha built a Katargarh, a small palace within the fort, and so many royal palaces, gates were built by the Maharana Kumbha. And this is the geographical boundary of the Sirohi district, and where the Achalgarh fort was built by the Maharana Kumbha, now in the Sirohi district. At the Hadoti region, this was the one of the important fort in the Jhalawad district, the Gagron fort. The Gagron fort now in Jhalawad, Gagron fort. It is called that the fort was built by the Dod or the Parmar rulers. Parmar rulers, that time they were ruling over the Malwa plateau in Madhya Pradesh from the Mandu and the Dhar. These were two capitals of them. Later on, Devansi, about the 12th century, acquired the fort and declared it their capitals. Later on, so many incidents took place in the Gagron fort. First, a Chishti Sufi saint of the Chishti tradition, Hamiduddin Chishti, when died, and later on a dargah which is called the Dargah of Meethe Shah in the memory of Hamiduddin Chishti was built within the fort. Second, when the finance minister or army commander was Jhala Jalim Singh of the Kota state, who built a small gate or fort which is called the Jalim Court. Later on, Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb attacked over the Jhalawad states, and Aurangzeb built the Buland Darwaja, the highest gate into the fort. And Gagron fort is a water fort in Rajasthan, water fort, and it is also called the Gargrastpur या Gargastic fort according to the Hindu mythology. Okay, and in the Bundi district, it was the important fort of the Bundi, and about which a British scholar Rudyard Kipling have mentioned the fort was built by the ghost and the deities, not by the any human beings, because the architecture style is too much unique. That's why Rudyard Kipling had to state it in this way. And this is the geographical boundary of the Baran district, where this was the fort, the Kosvardhan fort, also called the Shergarh fort. So Shergarh fort later on called the Kosvardhan. In the eastern side, this is the geographical boundary of the Bharatpur district, and important fort of the Bharatpur is the Lohagarh fort. Lohagarh fort of the Bharatpur, it was built by the King Surajmal, and it is also called about the 1765 or mid of the 18th century. A door or gate of 8 metals was brought from the Red Fort of Delhi, and it was settled or placed in the Lohagarh fort. And Lohagarh fort is evident how the fort protected the Lohagarh princely state against the attacks of Marathas and the East India Company. And this is the Parik type fort in Rajasthan. Parik, because which is surrounded by the ditch from the all sides. And in the Bharatpur district, this is the Bayana Tehsil, where the Timangad or Tribhuvangarh fort is famous. And this is the geographical boundary of the Sabai Madhopur district, where the important fort is the Ranthambore fort. The Ranthambore is famous fort of the Rajasthan. And Abul Fazl, a courtier of Mughal Emperor Akbar, called all the fort of Rajasthan are nude and naked, but only the fort which is just like a Bakhtar Band or the military fort. Ranthambore fort, it is built by a Ranthambore on a Thambore hill, and it is famous for about its glorious history and provide evidence of the Islamic invasions. When the Alauddin Khilji attacked over the Ranthambore about the 1301, that time this was the Hammir Dev rulers, and Ranthambore fort became the eyewitness of the first Saka in 1301. And this is the geographical boundary of the Jaipur district, the capital of Rajasthan, the Jaipur. Two important forts in the Jaipur, one is the Jaigarh or second is the Nahargarh. Jaigarh fort was built by, or we can say construction started by the ruler Mansingh, but it was completed by the Sabai Jai Singh or the Jai Singh II. Jaigarh fort is famous for the production of cannons, and the largest or biggest Asian cannon Jawan is placed in the Jaigarh fort, and the fort was used by the rulers as their treasury. Most of revenue was placed in the fort. Nahargarh fort, which is also called the Sudarshangarh fort, and it was built by the Jai Singh II or the Sabai Jai Singh II. You know, the title of Sabai was given by the Muhammad Shah, later Mughal emperor, also called the Muhammad Shah Rangila. So I have discussed in detail in the English medium videos for the explanation of the history of Kachwa, of the Amer. So then you can hear the or understand detailed history of the Amer state. And this was the adjacent district of the Jaipur, the Ajmer, the Taragarh fort of Ajmer, and the Ajmer fort built by the Mughal emperor Akbar, because when Akbar maintained healthy relationship with the Rajputs, so many important decisions were taken by the Mughal emperor Akbar, and the fort of Ajmer is called the magazine of the Akbar, because Akbar started the production of the gunpowder, and Akbar maintained the fort as their arsenal or the weapons depot. So this is the important information about the fort of the Rajasthan. When we have discussed the different types of, then you can say the desert fort. The best example of the desert fort is the Jaisalmer fort, which is also called the Sonargarh fort. Okay. The hill fort, the best example of the hill fort is the fort of the Chittor. And the water fort, the important example of the water fort in Rajasthan is the Gagron fort. And the Parik fort, important example is the Lohagarh fort of the Bharatpur. Then you can understand the topic in this way. So definitely it may help you to cover the different kinds of questions which have asked by the Rajasthan Public Service Commission in the various exam, and you may cover the topic for the prospecting examination conducted by the RPSC. Okay, thank you.